If we can start now recording. Greetings and a very warm welcome to you all. Thank you for joining Global Peace Studies for Sustainable Development in Africa. I'm George Mutalemwa in Mwanza, Tanzania, moderating this session on behalf of the Africa Peace and Development Network, MAMA. Our theme today is ERA 404, Why the World's Peace Software Can't Find African Solutions. The speaker is Emmanuel Hamadziripi, a researcher at the Institute for Impact Sciences and Research Design in Swakopmund, Namibia. Emmanuel is also a member of the Africa Peace and Development Network MAMA WhatsApp group. You are all welcome to join the group. Please join me in welcoming Emmanuel Hamadziripi Unbroken Praise.
Oh, thank you so much, George. And
thank you.
Yes, and I would like to acknowledge the presence of all the other participants who are amongst us today. I'm calling from Namibia, and as has been highlighted by George, my name is Emmanuel Hamadziripi, and I'm also with the Durban University of Technology, ICON. I'm a proud student of Professor Harris. Professor Harris is the one who introduced me to George. To begin with, without wasting much of your time, as we're aware, it's only yesterday whereby India and Pakistan were exchanging blows, and a few hours before, the Israelites were bombarding Yemen, and at the same time, we come back to Africa, you realize quite a number of conflicts are taking place, and there seems to be no end despite all the efforts by the United Nations, by regional bodies, and also by respective governments. As such, we are facing a crisis that's a global peace systems, and the UN peace missions is gobbling almost billions, roughly 6 billion per year in its missions. And at the same time, if we look at the International Criminal Court, ICC, it gobbles almost 225 million US dollars a year. But at the end of the day, we are not seeing any tangible results. We're not seeing any tangible results. Why? This is ERA 404, as I've highlighted. The World Peace Software can't find African solutions. Because you realize, from my understanding, from my studies, everything has been Eurocentric, and all the efforts, solutions which are being imposed, let me say, on the global south, they are all Eurocentric, and are not compatible thinking with the global south environment. So as such, how can we build peace while silencing Africa's wisdom? So in this case, ladies and gentlemen, we have realized that the international bodies, they're failing. Why? They're ignoring African indigenous knowledge system, IKS. This is what I call ERA 404, the world's peace software that is failing to find African solutions. As such, how can you build peace while silencing Africa's wisdom? Don't you think we need a reboot? Because we're not finding any solution. We have UN peacekeepers in the DRC, in Sudan, in Lebanon, across the world, but there's no solution at hand. And as such, I have a rhetorical question. How can we build peace while silencing Africa's wisdom? Why is it that Africa's wisdom is being silenced when it comes to such initiatives? It's a rhetorical question. I move on. I want to define what do I mean, or what do we mean by 404 glitch. A 404 era is a web page. For example, we are all aware of this era. It's a web page not found due to moved or deleted pages or broken links. In a technical language, it's a server failing to find a page, typos, or broken links. In peace building, it is the UN and the International Criminal Court missing African IKAs. Like, for example, 1 million cases for a paltry 40 million against the ICC's $220 million. Why the global system crash when Africa's peace solutions are ready? Because from the look of things, or from what we understand, the global system is crashing while it's ignoring the African peace solutions. Let's, as such, ladies and gentlemen, let's explore the era's causes. And I'm also going to ask a very rhetorical question. Why do global systems crash when Africa peace solutions are ready? It's another rhetorical question, the second one. As we move on, as we move on, as we move on, 404, 404, I continue for my last presentation. As a client-side error, which causes URL typos, more deleted pages, and also broken links. It's client-side, meaning the users request that the global peace systems, it misses the mark. It's missing the mark. We can see that typos. Hi, George.
Hello, I hear you. Please proceed.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you, George. Typos, as I highlighted above, typos like 6.4 billion UN missions, which are ignoring IKS. We have deleted pages like ICC dismissing Gachacha's 85% trust, because this Gachacha has been proven scientifically, technically, and it has been proven to be very, very effective, but it's been dismissed. We have broken links like SADC's. SADC has almost 100 million mission, which has been sidelined by Eurocentrism. So in this case, as I've highlighted before, you realize most of these missions are Eurocentric. Also, here I'm being academic. So here I'm being academic. They're all Eurocentric. They are not pivoted on the traditional tools, on the indigenous knowledge systems. So as such, ladies and gentlemen, can peace function when systems erase African indigenous knowledge system? As such, I believe by the end of the day, we need to look at user fixes. We need to fix the system. Another rhetorical question, which is the third one, can peace function when systems erase African indigenous knowledge system? I don't think so. I don't think so. Communities must check. Communities must check the URLs dialogue. You know, the Palava tree. I think we're aware as peace scholars, we're aware of the Palava dialogue. Why can't global systems troubleshoot like communities do? Let's see how we can how we can find the lasting solution at the end of the day. So another rhetorical question I ask: why can't global systems troubleshoot like communities do? The global system against the communities. Let's go to slide number 6.
All right, we have some technical difficulties. I will share the PowerPoint starting at number 6.
Okay, no, it's fine.
Okay, bear with me.
Okay. Okay. No, it's fine. It's okay, George. It's okay. The global peace paradox, ladies and gentlemen, as I've mentioned before, ICC is gobbling roughly $200 million per year, and we have realized recently Hungary ejected itself from the system, and quite a number of other countries are ejecting themselves from this ICC. Why? Because it's lacking legitimacy. But at the end of the day, in the global south, in the African context, we have the Gachacha principle of the Gachu, which has almost 85% trust amongst the local community. So as such, ladies and gentlemen, this marginalization is Ubuntu and Palava. How can peace endure when IKS is sidelines? It's unscientific. It's time to reprogram with African solution. Because for how long shall the global south, even not the global south, even the Ukraine, can talk about the Ukraine-Russian conflict, Israel-Palestine conflict. We need to understand it from the indigenous knowledge system. How best can we bring together the Palestinians and the Israelites? We need to understand it from the biblical perspective. Yes, I know here we have Christians and some Muslims, but at the end of the day, if we understand it from the spiritual angle or from the biblical angle, in this case, we are going to find lasting peace. Not what we are getting from the ICCs, whereby they are targeting Benjamin Netanyahu, that targeting Vladimir Putin. So as such, these international systems, they are losing legitimacy. So as such, another rhetorical question being, how can peace endure when IKS is sidelined as unscientific? Because we realize we have quite a number of scholars from the northern hemisphere, from the western world, who argue that indigenous knowledge system is unscientific. So everything being sponsored, you realize most of the peace missions or peace non-governmental organizations in the global south, they are all European based. It's more of bottom down, not bottom down, top down approach, whereby the Eurocentric tools that are being imposed on the global south. At the end of the day, all these efforts are hitting a glitch, they're glitching. So now the main question, George and other participants, the main question being, why the world's peace software can't find African solution? That is the main question of today's presentation, ladies and gentlemen. Why the world's peace software can't find African solution?
Emmanuel.
Hi, George.
Emmanuel, please just tell us which slide so that we can move, like next slide, so that we know that one is done. Thank you.
Let's go to slide 8.
8, thanks.
This would be 8. I don't hear anything.
Emmanuel?
Hi, George.
Emmanuel, yes, could you proceed, please? Is that the right one, number 8?
Yeah, my internet is crazy here.
Is this the correct slide, number 8?
Oh, yes.
All right, please proceed.
Okay, thanks, George. So ladies and gentlemen, let's continue. I'm sorry about the technical glitches we're experiencing from both sides. Okay, theoretical framework. So when this presentation was being assembled or put together, hi, George.
Yes,
Okay.
I hear you.
Yeah, the bandwidth is quite low, so it keeps on disconnecting. But anyway, let me continue for progress. With regards to the background, George.
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, we'll move on to the background. The global peace building crash. The UN's 6.4 billion and assists almost 200 million budgets, they're ignoring the international knowledge system. Unlike the Gachacha, 40 million with almost 85% trust. We have UN nations, I mentioned some above. We have MINUSMA, we have MONUSCO. They failed in Mali, DRC, sidelining Palavas, 89% resolutions. As such, ICC's African bias, ICC's African bias, that is in the DRC in Mali, is lacking legitimacy. What legitimacy do peace systems hold if they silence indigenous knowledge systems? What legitimacy do peace systems hold if they silence indigenous knowledge systems? What legitimacy do peace systems hold if they silence indigenous knowledge systems? If we go back to those who are academic, I know most of us here, we are all academics. We have some theoretical frameworks in the form of the decolonial or restorative frameworks from the authorities like Africa, Desmond Tutu, the later Bishop Desmond Tutu, Santos, and also Zeha. Zeha's restorative justice uses dialogue like Palava. So Desmond Tutu talks about Ubuntu, which fosters accountability. Santos validates indigenous knowledge systems. Knowledge, while Africa highlights epistemic injustice in dismissing indigenous knowledge system. Then we have authors like Spivak, who says silencing indigenous knowledge system is violent. As such, ladies and gentlemen, why what is the bug? That is the systemic erasure. George?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, I seem to be having some challenges with my internet here.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yes, I'm on slide 10. On slide 10, at the back, it talks about the bug.
Number 10.
Good.
The bug. Number 10.
Yes, slide 10. Just can you move from
Are we coordinated?
okay, George?
Yes, I hear you, Emmanuel. Is that slide number 10 that you are talking about?
No, yes, then it's fine. Let me before the BBC. Can you go back? Okay, yes. So the bug, the systemic. Yes, George, can you go back?
Give me a number.
Okay, and let me proceed using the slides on. Yes, we can. No, it's fine.
It's very difficult to hear.
Okay, can you hear me now, Peter?
Yes, what number would you like?
Can I have slide 10? Slide 10?
Yes,
Before
that
the
would,
BBC. Yes.
the bug.
Oh, yes. Yes. The bug, yes. As you can see, this. Okay, no, it's fine. Let's work from here.
The sound is intermittent.
Okay, how? Okay. No, it's fine. Thank you. Let me work from here. How does action research, why it matters? Communities need to code indigenous knowledge system peacefully. Oh, don't allow me to read from this end, to go through my slides from this end. George?
Yeah, please go ahead. We depend on you, actually. If you tell us to go to slide number 11, we'll go there.
From this end, the slides keep on shuffling up and down, back and forth.
So you can read, yes. We can stop actually sharing the slide if you wish.
Okay. That's fine. Let me take over from here. The bug with the systemic error or the systemic erasure. You realize, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes. Thank you. You realize.
If I understand, are you, Emmanuel, are you sharing the screen or shall I continue?
No, I'm not. George is the one who has been assisting me with sharing the the screen.
Oh, okay. This is very confusing. I'm sorry.
Let me do it this way for progress sake. Let me read from this end, the hard copy of the presentation.
Do you want me to
Peter,
share?
is that okay with you?
Do you want me to run the slides?
No, you can. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay.
If your yes, if your internet is stable. I don't know what is happening in Namibia today.
So we're on number 10. If you say next, I will go next.
Okay, thank you so much, Peter. Much appreciated. So we have peacekeeping bodies in the form of SADC, ECOWAS, United Nations, and also the ICC, which are marginalizing indigenous knowledge system. At the same time, the United Nations is vetoing the United Nations vetos, and roughly I'll keep on pointing on 6.4 billion missions which are ignoring the indigenous knowledge system. And also we have the SADC missions which are facing Eurocentric mandates. And the ICC is deeming our indigenous knowledge system, or IKS, is unscientific. And how can peace thrive when indigenous knowledge system is erased? Let's define the problem, ladies and gentlemen. How can peace thrive when IKS is erased? Because all these missions I've mentioned above, all these international, regional institutions, UN, SADC, ECOWAS, ICC, they are all failing. They're all failing their mandate. There's nothing tangible which they produced for the past decade or so. Conflicts are still persisting. Lebanon is still burning. Palestine, Israel war, Ukraine, Russia, Goma, that the DRC, northern Mozambique, Sudan. We don't see any tangible results, despite billions of dollars being channeled toward these international institutions. So as such, we need to find out, where are they going wrong? Where are they going wrong? There's nothing tangible we can talk about. Peter, can you show me the BBC screenshot?
Give me a number.
The next slide.
This is number 13.
No, it's fine. It's okay. We can move to 13. It's fine. Okay, action research. Thanks, Peter. Action research. Why it matters at this juncture, ladies and gentlemen. I know, as I've highlighted before, most of you are well-respected academics and researchers. So action research, why it matters in this case. Action research, it co-designs indigenous knowledge system. We have success in the Goma region. Also, we have some success stories in Mozambique. where action research has played a critical role in bringing about peace, in addressing conflict. And Goma's indigenous knowledge system workshops, they blended Gachacha, which earned almost 92% approval. Mozambique, we have Mozambique. SADC supported peace gardens, and it managed to cut violence by almost 30%. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you realize IKS, it builds trust, like Gachacha, which is almost 85% trust amongst the communities, against the United Nations or ICC, which has lost trust or credibility. Because the communities that are directly involved and decisions are made by the community themselves and they're not made from Washington, they're not made from Geneva, or they're not made from Nairobi, and they trickle down to the communities. The rhetorical questions arises. Whose knowledge counts if indigenous knowledge system is silenced? Whose knowledge counts? So should the knowledge of a researcher from Harvard University or Massachusetts University count when peace needs? Hello, Peter. George?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. Yeah, it's tripping. So the question arises, so whose knowledge counts if the indigenous knowledge system is silenced? So should Africa, or let me say, even Ukrainian or Palestinian communities which are affected by conflicts, should someone from Harvard University or should someone from Oslo University or someone from Cape Town University prescribe what needs to be done in their local communities? So this is one of the critical questions which we feel we need to answer. What is peace without the whose knowledge counts if IKS is silenced? African IKS, which is the page, we have Ubuntu, as I highlighted before, we have Gachacha, the palaver for global and regional peace. Ubuntu, I believe we are all aware of Ubuntu, a very, very common term. Ubuntu brings about interconnectedness and dignity among the communities, among the people. It could be in Ukraine, it could be in Palestine, it could be in Goma, it could be northern Mozambique.
How are we doing? Am I keeping up?
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'll take it up from here. Peace gardens have cut violence by almost 30%. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, we can see tangible results as compared to efforts by international structures or international institutions in the form of United Nations, in the form of ICC. So what is peace without indigenous knowledge systems, communal ontology? What is peace without indigenous knowledge systems, communal ontology? How, the next question or the next slide being how indigenous knowledge system works. We talk of restorative justice. Gachacha, 90% prison reduction. Peace Gardens, 30% drop. Why are we ignoring all these facts? Why are we ignoring all these figures? The Charter cut Rwanda's prisons by 90% for a mere 40 million US dollars. Peace Gardens, they've reduced violence by almost 30%. Peace Gardens have also been a success story in Zimbabwe in the post-Mugabe, or yes, the post, it could be the post-Mugabe era. And at the end of the day, it's justice retribution or IKS restoration. Which one are we going for? It's justice retribution or IKS restoration. We need to examine Rwanda. Rwanda is a very, very well documented success story, not from UN efforts, but from local efforts. Yes, UN played the part, but local efforts played a very pivotal role in bringing about peace to Rwanda. So then the question before I leave the slide is justice retribution or IKS restoration. Because we talk about, as I've highlighted before, we have read from the ICC, whereby they say, no, Netanyahu has to be arrested, Putin has to be arrested. But has that stopped Putin from bombarding Kyiv on a daily basis? Has that stopped Netanyahu from bombarding Khan Yunis on a daily basis? No. But why can't we sit down and make use of our indigenous knowledge system to bring together the Palestinians and the Israelites? We understand their roots, to bring them together. Palava approach, Ubuntu, Gachacha approach, and I assure you there'll be peace in the Middle East. Not peace from the International Criminal Court. And how many countries so far are withdrawn from the ICC? It's now being rendered a white elephant at the end of the day. So this is one of the issues I'm trying to bring on board. So, look, at the end of the day, we need to make use of indigenous knowledge system for the betterment of our communities. Because Israelites and Palestinians are one. But you realize the international system doesn't want to address all those issues. Those are one people. They're one people. At the end of the day, we need to go back to the roots. We need to use our indigenous knowledge system and to bring these people together. They sit down, Peace Gardens, Palava, or Gachacha, as Ubuntu, as one people. You can take it from the biblical angle. Yes, the one and the same. They come from the same root. But you realize the system, the system doesn't want to look at all that. They are concerned with it's more persecution, it's more persecuting or scoring some balls at the end of the day. And at the same time, the systems are now being used by weapons manufacturing companies like Switch. Check the Middle East. It's one of the biggest buyers of weaponry in the world as of today. But if we look at the indigenous knowledge system and you sit down, the Israelites, Palestinians, Lebanese, Syrians, yes, Ukrainians, Russians, Belarusians, don't you think there will be order? Don't you think there will be peace in the world? Because we are all human beings. There's Ubuntu. We understand each other when you sit down. We understand each other. When we come together as a people, not being dictated by the international system to say, no, this is how the peace is going to be. Like the Trump, for example, talk about the Trump rare mineral diplomacy. That's not the solution at the end of the day. Then I move on. Peter, you're on what side? Peter?
Another one?
Yes, please.
Can you see the screen, Emmanuel?
No, unfortunately, I can't see your screen.
Oh. We have case study 1, case study 2, case study 3.
No, it's fine. Let me go on case study 1, Gachacha and Rwanda. Yes, I've been talking about Gachacha for some time. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost there. We are almost there. I think we're left 3 or 4 slides. Gachacha and Rwanda.
Palestine, Israel, IKS.
Oh, yes. Okay, we can go to Palestine.
We have case study 2.
Yes, but on the screen, I'm seeing case study 3, the Sudan's Sunday councils.
You want 3? Here we go.
No, it's fine. Either way. I've talked about Rwanda in detail.
Okay.
I've mentioned what? Yes, I've mentioned Rwanda in detail.
So
okay,
this is Rwanda.
Yes.
I think there is a time lag in the display.
Oh,
So right now,
yes, that's what I'm realizing.
yes, right now you have case study 1, Rwanda.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes, so Rwanda, ladies and gentlemen, I've highlighted or cited Rwanda above, I think in almost all the slides. Gachacha from Rwanda, it addressed almost 1 million plus cases, and it is almost 85% trust. Gachacha, ladies and gentlemen, as I've highlighted, almost 12,000 courts processed over 1 million cases for a mere or about $40 million US with 85% trust. It could clear Ukraine's 20,000 case backlog. Unlike ICC's 200 million, but they're not doing anything at the end of the day. We're not seeing anything at the end of the day, despite 25% due process gaps. IKS justice is proven to be very effective across the world. Yes, as I've highlighted, yes, it has been proven to be more effective than international institutions, which are more Eurocentric in their approach. So can justice be global without indigenous knowledge system efficacy? I don't think so. That justice can be global without indigenous knowledge system efficacy. You have to look at, for example, the Palestine, as I've mentioned before, the Palestine-Israel war or conflict being a good example. Peter, I'm moving to case study to Palestine-Israel.
Okay. We have case study 2.
Yes. So despite all efforts by the United Nations, European Union, SADC elders, I remember the SADC elders once visited President Putin. So despite all efforts, nothing, we haven't realized anything tangible in the Palestine-Israel war, in the Ukraine-Russian war. Violence is spiking on a daily basis. Violence is sparking on a daily basis. Palaver could foster dialogue. Don't you think so in Gaza? Don't you think Palaver can foster dialogue, bring together fellow Palestinians and fellow Israelis, to bring them together as brothers, coming from the same root at the end of the day? It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. History is not being honest. Yes, history is there, but it's not being honest at the end of the day. So you realize there's so much hatred. But if we sit down under the palaver tree, Israelis, Palestinians, Lebanese, Syrians, Egyptians, don't you think there will be peace in the Middle East? I suppose there will be peace. Israel might bombard Palestine. Hamas might try to do this and that. Hezbollah might try to do this and that. But at the end of the day, I believe we are not going anywhere as long as we don't sit down as one people through that Ubuntu, as what Desmond Tutu said, we need to come together as a people. We need to sit down under the palaver tree. And we understand each other. We resolve the issue. Israel is talking of Palestinians are talking of they want a state. Israelis are saying no, they can't have a state because of security reasons. But don't you think if they sit down together with Iran, Syria, Qatar, etc., don't you think at the end of the day, there will be peace in the Middle East? I suppose so. I suppose there will be peace in the Middle East. As such, justice can't be global without indigenous knowledge system, ladies and gentlemen. In Sudan, Sudan has been ravaged by war, by conflict for some time now. In Sudan, through Bashir, the Premier Bashir, yes, it hasn't been very, very cooperative with the ICC. So this is one of the issues when I say there's an error in the international system. Leaders are not cooperating with ICC's. Leaders are not cooperating with international institutions. Netanyahu being one of them, President Putin being one of them, Bashir of Sudan being one of them, and the number of so many leaders are not cooperating. So this is one of the glitch we are finding in the system. So it's rendering the International Criminal Court as irrelevant, useless, and a white elephant. Palaver, don't you think it will play a pivotal role, a strategic role, or what I can call an instrumental role in bringing about peace? So in this case, when you talk of Sudan's Zande councils, as I've said, Sudan has been ravaged by conflict for some time. UN missions have failed to bring peace, to bring hope to the people. Sudan ended up being divided into two, and still, as we're speaking today, there's violence. One part, these rebels are being supported by these Western guys or whoever, or some Middle Eastern guys. The other parties are being supported by the Northern guys or whoever, all these parties across the world. So now at the end of the day, you realize, even if you bring the ICC into Sudan, if you bring ECOWAS, if you bring the African Union peacekeepers, they are not achieving anything tangible at the end of the day. There's no hope. There's no hope at all. They can do whatever they might think might work in Sudan, but at the end of the day, we are all hitting a brick wall. But you realize Sudanese now, not as the United Nations, coming from, let me say New York, seconded from New York, what have Sudanese done? they came up with the Zande Councils. What are the Zande Councils? Zande Councils achieved almost 78% trust, and they resolved almost 60% reparations for Sudanese. Hello, Peter?
Yes.
Yes.
We
So,
understand.
ladies and gentlemen, yes. As I've highlighted above, the Zande Councils, these are Sudanese initiated efforts to bring about peace in their own communities, not UN initiated. So in this case, I'm not writing off the United Nations or the ICC, but in this case, I'm simply saying, since there's an error in our peacekeeping missions, how best can the UN, the ICC, and or it could also be the European Union and any other international institutions, how best can they capacitate local efforts? How best can they capacitate indigenous knowledge systems in bringing about hope and bring about peace and restorative justice amongst the local communities? Yes, Peter, next slide.
Are you seeing it? African conflicts?
Yes. Yes. Okay, African conflicts, I will read through. We'll take you through. Ladies and gentlemen, IKS indigenous knowledge system is quite effective, and it's quite a reliable tool or reliable instrument, which has proven to be of great success in African context. Gomas, and it's not repetition, IKS dialogues cut tension by almost 45%. Mozambique's 100 million peace gardens reduce violence by a paltry, yes, but it's reasonable, 30%. This outlasts colonial legacies. Can regional peace thrive without indigenous knowledge systems of rooted wisdom? I don't think so. Regional peace cannot thrive without indigenous knowledge system wisdom. We need indigenous knowledge system in every effort we do. It could be in the Middle East, as I said. It could be in the Far East. It could be in Taiwan, the Taiwanese conflict. It could be in Vietnam. Or it could be in Cambodia. It could be in Tanzania, Sudan, Mauritania. So can regional peace thrive without IKS rooted wisdom? No, it cannot. Regional peace thrive? No, it cannot thrive without indigenous knowledge, systems, rooted wisdom. Peter, next slide, please. Hi, Peter.
Yes, can you see it?
No, I think from my side.
Embedding IKS in global regional systems.
No, it's fine, but I can't see it on the screen, but let me take you through. So ladies and gentlemen, we need to, not to say we need to, but I call for the integration of indigenous knowledge system into the United Nations, SADC, ECOWAS, International Criminal Court, for the European Union efforts, in bringing about peace. It could be in Ukraine, it could be in Africa, or the Middle East, or it could be South America. We need to mandate IKS in UN resolutions. It's not about delegating a 50 million peacekeeping mission to Lebanon, to Israel. You've seen Israel, the IDF, is penetrating through the UN peacekeeping missions in bombarding Lebanon. So can we say UN peacekeeping missions are of any use in today's world? No, they are of no use, but yet we need them. But here I'm simply saying, why can't we integrate indigenous knowledge system in their efforts? Bring it together. It could be Hezbollah in the Lebanese government and the Israelites. Don't you think that will work? Yes, I believe so. I believe it will work. So these are the same people, the one and the same at the end of the day. Let's train peacekeepers in Palava. When these peacekeepers are seconded to Sudan, they're seconded to northern Mozambique, they are seconded to Ukraine, or any hotspot across the world. Let them go there with fully equipped. But at the end of the day, it's not about them deducing what should be done, but it's about them equipping locals in skills or with enough resources to enable the locals to come together, to enable the locals decide their fate, to enable the locals share that interconnectedness, that Ubuntu approach, which I've highlighted above. That Ubuntu. Don't you think if these UN peace missions, or even if the ICC, if the ICC manage to come up with such an initiative, don't you think there will be peace in the world? Yes, I suppose so. And we need to add to ICC court. Can peace be mandated by vetoes that ignores indigenous knowledge system? No, we need to reform the policies, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we need to reform their policies. Peter, the last slide now.
Is it displaying?
No, but it's fine. I was
Policy reforms, IKS advocacy.
Yes. Yes, I think I'm done with that one. Okay. Oh, thanks, Janet. Janet, thank you so much. You wrote that there's a tree in Spain. That is where I can't read the full message. Oh, that's good. That's a Palava approach. Thank you so much for that input, Janet. We need, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy to hear that Spain is practicing the same thing, but of which it's my first time to hear about all these things. Thank you so much, Janet, for that.
Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah. Whenever you're ready, I think we have some questions for you and some comments whenever you're ready.
No, it's fine. I'm almost done, Janet. I'm almost done.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need to institutionalize indigenous knowledge system. It could be in AU, SADC, UN, peacekeeping missions. We need to fund research. Research has to be. It's unfortunate It's unfortunate such research won't normally get funding. And at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask, what future for peace without IKS plural knowledge? What future for peace without additional knowledge system plural knowledge? That is the closing for this slide, which is the second last. So for the last slide, which is the conclusion, and now I'm saying now we need to reboot. How best now can we reboot? From my understanding and from the research which has been done, it's unfortunate the BBC slides or the screenshots which I taken. Even Western media, Western researchers can agree that most of these institutions, United Nations, peacekeeping missions, ICC's, European Union efforts, when it comes to peacekeeping, they've become redundant. Their efforts, they haven't produced anything tangible. They haven't produced something that has brought hope to the local communities, or to the local people, or to the affected communities of states of the world. So what needs to be done? What needs to be done? We need to reboot. We need to reboot. We need to reboot. Let's advocate IKS in peacekeeping missions. Can peace thrive without its ontological depth? No. Can peace thrive without ontological depth, ladies and gentlemen? Can peace thrive without indigenous knowledge systems ontological depth? No. It's a big no, and it has been proven. We need at whatever cost. We need it at whatever cost to embrace the indigenous knowledge system. Yes, the scientists, the academics, the researchers, they're saying no, it's unscientific, it hasn't been proven, but it has worked. And it is working, especially in the global south and also in the global north. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to end here. And Peter, thank you so much for assisting. And George, much appreciated for your efforts. I'm so much grateful for your thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for taking your time to listen to my presentation. And I'm sorry for the glitches which have encountered the presentation. I believe next time, this won't happen, despite it being beyond my control. Thank you so much once again, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your input. So over to George.
Yeah, thank you so much indeed, Emmanuel, for this presentation with lots of facts and figures, and your call for action that we need to advocate indigenous knowledge systems, because they found that other systems don't seem to be working as they should be. So you're inviting us to go back to the, apply the Gachacha system in Rwanda, for example, or the Palava and the Peace Gardens. And I think all these are just wonderful ideas. Now I'd like to ask participants on this call to ask questions or make comments. There are several in chat, but please just feel free to ask a question, raise your hand, and then we will ask the speaker to respond. Yes, please, Janet.
Well, thank you. Thank you to all of us for bearing with the difficulties we've had here with technology, which in a way makes your point, Emmanuel, doesn't it? You know, we've held a kind of solidarity with you going through this, and I'm grateful to everyone here who stayed with the process. Here's my I think you nailed some very important. Is nailing a violent? I think you really grasped some very key points. And one of them is, I mean, I'm going to phrase it differently. The intentional point of domination is of one system over another. I mean, the intentional point is domination of one system over another. In other words, scientific knowledge, it's very important because a certain expertise can be developed. But why should we accept that that's the only kind of knowledge? As you explained over and over from many dimensions, the human dimension is left out. So how can you have peace, which is a very human felt and, well-being is not a scientific term. It's a human to human term. Peace is it can be defined as state to state, but we're looking for human to human, beyond state, peace. And so therefore, the point is so well taken that indigenous systems and face-to-face and sitting around a tree or making a peace garden or having any kind of peace circles and community building, connecting, is what is intentionally left out of many of these systems. And I would 2 points. I would disagree that with the complete dismissal of the UN and the complete dismissal of the ICC, even though because they're involved with great powers that are at the heart of domination across the world. At the same time, from my experience, you can learn an enormous amount by the gatherings that they can afford to bring together, which most of us cannot all over the world, except here we have it in our internet gathering, thanks to George and the whole group, Egon and others. And okay, my second point is, as a peace educator, I ask, and this refers to my last comment, how can we understand different frameworks for looking at peace? Like a legal framework may have some use, and a local indigenous and/or community processes also are legitimate and essential. And the fight is to make them have more credibility across. The fight is to reclaim the voices of humans and people, so that not internet or the UN or the United States or other military powers can dominate. How do we keep connecting? Because what you're saying is just totally essential. There's no peace without indigenous knowledge systems and the incorporation of the people who are part of those communities. So I thank you very much for that essential key point.
Thank you so much, Janet. And maybe Emmanuel would like to respond to that.
Maybe, George,
Yes.
in that regard. But thank you so much, Janet. I really appreciate your input, and I believe from here we have a lot to learn. We have a lot to learn and to work on. Yes, I do agree with you that we cannot totally get rid of the United Nations, of which all the countries across the world, they are signatories to the UN, to the United Nations. Yes, I really agree with you. But I suggest that as an individual, I suggest that the best we can do is for the UN to support local structures, local communities in addressing some of the conflicts, some of the tensions, some of the conflicts which are simmering in local communities or in regions across the world. Unlike the UN, as you said, I like how you put it across. We talked about the exclusion of human dimensions. Yes, it's not about Washington, the UN Plaza, deciding on what needs to be done in Mwanza, Tanzania, but it's about UN supporting Mwanza people, Tanzanians, in peace building or peacekeeping efforts. I really appreciate your input. Maybe George, you can assist me in responding to the second question which Janet asked me. Thank you so much.
Okay, let me ask Janet just to rephrase it. That will be easier.
Okay,
Thanks.
well, let me say that I'm not sure exactly what my second question was, but let me say I was involved for 25 years in local, Palestinians and Israelis and people around the world, not everyone, but have been working to end the conflict and for example, our International Institute in Peace Education in 2008 was incredible in terms of, all the like Bedouins, Zionist, anti-Zionist Orthodox, socialist, kibbutzim, Israelis, people, it brought together literally people who represented different conflicts and different groups within the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And it was amazing because there was so much tension in the beginning, but by the end, there was real, true hope. And okay, so we had it in July. In August, the Israeli government started bombing Gaza. And that broke all the relationships. That broke all the connections. No one could go on. This current, so there are these I mean by gigantic, wealthy, militarized powers that can break human to human relationships. And like Trump now is trying to make all of us afraid of each other. All of us hate each other. All of us turning in the United States against each other. And we're trying with our version of small groups and community organizing to resist that. But we don't know. We know that we can be snuffed out. So these things are always ongoing. So I don't know if I have my question would be, how do you blend? How do you make internet like a indigenous knowledge system? You mentioned that, and I'd like to hear more. Thank you. Thank you for the extra time, George, too.
Thank you, Janet. And as he's preparing for that question, let's turn to Norbert. Norbert.
Thank you very much, George. And thank you other participants in this particular presentation, in particular Mr. Emmanuel. He has presented a very good topic with a lot of support from literature. As I said in the past, that my areas of professionalism is conservation. And nowadays we have a lot of degradation of natural resources. And many frameworks are now trying to go back to indigenous knowledge systems, especially in addressing the topical issues like climate change, loss of biodiversity, and so on. And to me, I would suggest that we look for the frameworks that integrates indigenous knowledge systems and Ubuntu within existing structures and organs. Because in the conservation, we are using the conventions which are existing organs and structures. For example, I heard from the previous speaker that also it might be very difficult to bypass these organs such as United Nations. We have also the regional trades, which we cannot, for example, bypass, but blending indigenous knowledge systems together with other peaceful frameworks, it can help us in establishing peace building in Africa. I've been looking at the concept of ICC, intercultural competencies and peace building. And I heard also from the presentation that even in other places, people used to designate a particular tree. That's where the elderly people sit and resolve some issues, especially when there have been quarrels among couples from younger families. They used to be brought to a certain family and they sit under a particular tree where no younger people are allowed to even play around. So this is the indigenous knowledge system that used to be used to embrace peace within families, because elderly people thought that by having peaceful families, you establish peaceful societies. And these are my observation from this presentation. But we may also integrate the technology. How can technology be used to blend these things? These are the issues which are looking at. I'm looking at it in terms of conservation perspectives, because we are now even looking at how can IKS contribute to restoration of the loss of the indigenous plants. Thank you, Mr. George, and thank you also, Mr. Emmanuel, for this wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much indeed, Norbert. And Richard, you're welcome to ask your question or make your comment, please. Richard?
I'm coming. Sorry, I had a short challenge, a small challenge. Yeah, with the IKS, I believe within the system of peace building that exists in the fold of United Nations. But let's see, one, it cannot hold on to its what is mandate. That is where the official peace building, like UN and what's it, AU, comes in. So I believe it is there. Not that it's not in at all. It is there, but when it looks so fragile, that can cause threat to the UN organs. I think they come in. So they are working. Thank you. That's the piece of contribution that I have.
Right. Thank you so much, Richard. And Emmanuel, if you hear us, the question is, how can we use the internet to bring about peace?
Okay, thank you so much, George. Janet, I haven't forgotten your question, but let me answer to this gentleman. Thank you so much. There's one issue which we are all fighting against when it comes to the internet, because you realize there's so much propaganda, there's so much trolling on the internet, there's so much disinformation and misinformation. So I believe at the end of the day, the most important thing we need to work on, as a people, especially as a government, is to work on disinformation and misinformation. Because I think we are all aware on how certain parties, for example, it could be in this case, a good example is the Russian conflict. You realize the Kremlin has flooded the internet because they have the capacity with let me say disinformation, misinformation. So now at the end of the day, Ukraine is also doing the same thing. It's also sowing disinformation on the internet. Trump comes on board. So now you realize, yes, the internet plays a very, very critical role in bringing about peace. But at the end of the day, I feel as of now, the internet is too polluted. It's too polluted to rely on as a means of bringing about peace. But I'm not saying you can write it off, but I feel it's too polluted, because at the end of the day, the opinions of people that are being twisted by powers that be, by force, information, facts, data, etc. It's all misconstrued. Everything is just, like you cannot. Personally, I don't feel the internet can be reliable too when it comes to peace building, when it comes to conflict mediation, when it comes to bring about hope amongst the people. So I feel the human touch, the human dimension plays a better role than making use of the internet. But I'm not writing it off. George, over to you. Yes, I know I was not prepared for this question. George, over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much indeed. And Peter, please.
Oh, thank you. First, I so much appreciate your wonderful questions, which I listed in the chat. Can justice be global without indigenous knowledge systems' proven efficacy, and so on? These are absolutely thought-provoking, inspiring questions. What came to mind was, in my work, which is about the change from an information-based economy to an attention-based economy on the world, brought about by the internet connection. The accelerated pace of events, because spectacle moves people so much faster and more passionately than data. It operates on our emotions and not our intellect. So the courts and the international institutions still rely on data. If you go into the United States Congress, you see everything move at a snail's pace because it has to have paper. So they can do nothing until the information catches up to events. And by that time, everything is changed again. And the information is no longer usable. The disruption accelerates and scales up. And we have difficulty perceiving acceleration and scale. I'm guessing that our ancestors did not survive those lessons, because you have to fall from a great height to understand acceleration and scale. So, but indigenous knowledge systems have a chance in this new world because they're grounded not in information, but in attention, and not in time, but in presence. So I just want to throw that out and see what you think. And thank you for this excellent, wonderful, in spite of my ham-handed handling of the technology.
Yeah, it wasn't your fault, Peter. Yeah, thank you so much, and for
It's
also
all my
bringing
fault. I'll take everything. It's all my fault. Israel, Palestine, the whole thing.
So we share that. We share that responsibility. Thank you so much indeed. So the dawn of the attention age is here. And Richard, you've raised your hand.
Yeah, yes, please. Later did I realize that the question was shown on a. Is it how can internet help in peace building? I guess I'm right. Sir. Hello.
So the question was how the internet can help, in bringing about peace.
Oh, yes. I think it has been the first way of building or creating avenue for peace. We are even contributing to peace building using the media, using the internet. Others are also using the same thing. And at times too, when they want to when these these saints soldiers, at times they use internet to communicate rather than just confronting the bullets just like that. So I think the internet is helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Richard. Now the last person to make a comment will be honestly just Joe. You could also please end this webinar for today. Joe, with your question or comment. Joe, are you there?
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. I love this presentation. I wanted to talk about the internet and how it will help. One realization I've been having is that actually the internet is still very young. And I like that we're asking how it can help. But I would like us to realize that it has already started help. Because I would say, like with me, a lot of the things that I know that I feel like are important that have to do with anything or benefiting the world and all that, I've learned a lot from the internet. So now I think we're at a time where we just have to curate the internet to make the world better. Like like I love this platform, this forum that we have, because I love the knowledge that we are bringing together and also creating as we interact. So like a place like this would be a good fountain for whoever's looking for knowledge and information on a lot of these things that we're talking about. So like if more things like this can populate the internet, that's how we're actually now speeding up this process that actually started the moment where a lot of us started having access to the internet and the knowledge and information that is out there that we wouldn't have if we didn't have like access to technology.
All right, thank you so much, Joe. And on that note, I would like to thank you all for your participation today, and especially thank our speaker today, Emmanuel Unbroken Praise, for your wonderful presentation. And once again, sorry for the glitch that you've had. And I wish you all the best. See you next Wednesday. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you to everyone. I'm so much grateful. And Janet, your questions will be and all the questions which have been raised, I believe I'm going to take them up. And who knows, George, we might come up with something with regard to IKS and peace building.
Let me just
once again
follow up, Emmanuel, by bringing up the point that isn't this an example of the peace of building through the enterprise? And although we're not all from the same indigenous community, or maybe not even, like, I don't think I'm really indigenous, I'm diasporic. So, but we make a little version of it, don't we? I think that's what we try. So your point is exemplified here, I think, Emmanuel, and thank you so much.
Absolutely. I agree with you, Janet,
of course.
100%.
Of course. No, thanks so much, mate. George, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you so much. See you next week.